SoundLab 2.0 builds on an earlier project that we've been working on. It was essentially 4 computer stations in the music library that allow students to work on their sound editing and sound technology projects. And SoundLab 2.0 is the bigger and better version of it. So, after the first round, we realized that we were quite interested in expanding on what worked well, and we wanted to see sound technology more integrated into curricular events, and so we came up with a few projects that would allow this expansion. The most important part is to create a website to let people know that we exist. The second most important part is to update the equipment, the computer stations, by high-end recording equipment. And perhaps the most significant innovation is the third part that allowed us to organize a regular series of workshops that Chris organizes and runs, where he invites guest speakers who talk about all sorts of aspects of working with sound, and that could be radio production, it could be turntabling, so all kinds of technological and creative approaches that work with sound and that the students are very interested in.
One that has been the most memorable was we did a workshop about circuit bending, which is when you take a cheap electronic device that creates sound and is typically battery powered, you take it apart, reveal the circuit board, and then you dive right into the circuitry and rewire it so it then makes a new palette of sounds that you can then manipulate. Then we brought in Eric Brunvin from the University of Utah to teach this, and it was an interesting way to create a new sound device, a new instrument, but it also was a way to teach students to empower themselves to not be afraid of technology, to just go right in and you can control it, you can decide what happens. And he did a really fascinating lecture that combined very technical engineering speak. He simplified it, but was able to engage with the students, and then we spent the rest of the afternoon taking apart electronic toy dogs, other Casio keyboards, weird random things that we found at thrift stores, and a bunch of toys that he brought in, kids' toys that we took apart, and made some amazing sounding instruments. It was quite a lot of fun.
At the moment, we have a couple of courses that use the equipment from the Sound Lab. There is a freshman seminar that my colleague Chris Hasty teaches on sound tracking, producing sound music and sounds for pre-existing film clips. I've been teaching a course for the last 5 years, The Art of Listening, that uses the equipment quite a lot. The whole course is arranged around a number of creative projects, starting with a mixtape, where we hand out a cassette tape to the students, and most of them have obviously never seen a cassette tape before and don't really know what to do with it. And so we start with this Jurassic technology, and then we move through various aspects of digital editing toward the final project, which is a sound map of sonically interesting places around Cambridge. So they record and edit their soundscapes, and then we put them up on a digital map. And so over time we get historical layers.
Some students and some TFs have taken advantage of our audio production, intro to audio production workshop that focuses on podcasting. California in the 60s, which is a class that's also offered in the music department. But other classes throughout the FAS have brought in students or faculty have come in to attend those workshops to enable themselves to then go and teach how to do podcasting, or then the students can directly learn how to do it. So a variety of people have come in to use the resource that's been created with this funding.
I mean, one of the things that's really surprised us is the overwhelming response that we've received from all parts of the universities. I mean, we've worked with people from public health, we've worked with people from the Divinity School, the Hutchins Center for African American Studies,
History and literature,
English. So it's lots of anthropology.
Yes.
But we expected FAS to be a central focal point, but it's all the other schools as well. So it's really something that supports the work in all of Harvard throughout the schools. So I think for us, we had two measures of success. One was how well we connected with other parts of the institution, and the other was how many projects the Sound Lab generated, how the general interest in the workshop panned out, and we're pretty satisfied on all those fronts. Mm-hmm. For us, the big challenge is to bring the integration of sound technology and sound production forward with curricular interests. And, you kind of need to, I think the hardest part is to convince faculty members that they can do this, and, that you don't need to start from scratch, and that it's possible to build those projects into syllabi and curricular ideas in interesting ways.